Hi, everyone. I will give you a minute to get settled. Familiarize yourself with all the buttons because I always have to do that every single time I log in. Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. This will be recorded, so if you need to leave for any reason, you are welcome to, and then watch the replay. I will send out the replay just to make sure it is going to all of our premier publishers. If you are watching the replay, thank you for finding it. Please reach out with any other questions if you did not get them answered during tonight's webinar. So, all right, first I gotta say, who's been listening to Taylor Swift? The new album? I want to make sure that we are really on the same page here because that's been living in my life right now. So if anybody wants to talk about Taylor Swift with me, I'm happy to. You're hearing an echo on my audio, says Terry. John, are you hearing an
I'm
echo?
not I'm not getting an echo.
Okay, maybe I'll turn my volume down just a little bit just in case.
Wait, what are they saying about Taylor Swift?
No echo here. Okay, Terry, I would check yours just in case. Too funny. All right, well, let's get started. There will be a Q&A at the end, so if you do have any questions, you are welcome to put them in the Q&A. The chat is just for us to send links out. I have a bunch of links to send to you guys today. I will put them on our YouTube channel for anybody watching the replay, just so you can get those as well. So yes, please ask any questions in the Q&A. We will get through as much information as we can and hopefully answer those questions. But if for some reason we get towards the end and I haven't answered your question, you are welcome to put your questions there. So as you kind of heard, John is also here on the call with me tonight. John, if you want to say hello.
I already did. Hi, guys. Good evening.
Thanks, John. So we just have a couple things that we are going to go through tonight. Some quality checks just as I've been going through Premier Publisher stores, and a couple updates just to make sure that we are all on the same page with expectations. We're going to do a little recap of 2025 updates to Boom, things that you guys have requested and that have gone through to the platform. And then we are also going to take some time to talk about some future updates, things that are on the radar coming down the pipeline that are pretty exciting. So let's start there. So again, we want to make sure that our premier publishers are having quality resources. Your Boom cards have the correct TM use. So you're putting Boom TM cards, and that is the correct use, not Boom cards with the TM at the end or Boom cards without the TM on the cover. So that is what we are asking, just to make sure that you do have those things labeled clearly and correctly. And this is because we are going through registering our trademark as a company. So we really do want to make sure that we are protected, and then therefore you guys are also protected by using the correct logos and the correct trademarks. So again, those old logos or those old versions that maybe you saw during the pandemic prior to 2021, but those are not allowed. So please do not use those. I have been reaching out to stores if I've been seeing those. So let me know if you guys see other people using them as well, because we do want to make sure that it is correct. So, acknowledgements and credits are also accurate. Having just the store name is fine. Having the link to their store is also fine. It's not a live link, but that is okay as well. Just to make sure that those credits are accurate, because we do want to give them credit for their work. We'll talk about accessibility in just a little bit, but making sure your decks are starting to be opted in or out past that 25 requirement. We are looking for more and more to be tagged accessible. We want to make sure too you have rich descriptions, at least those 50 words. Updating your bio to have your credentials and years of experience. Remember, those change every year, so you might need to re-up that. And I've been trying to reach out and let people know in email and in social media if you need to update that, just as a friendly reminder. We are asking for no over tagging unless you are certified in those areas, which there are some cases of that, and that is totally fine. But if you are a special ed teacher, you're only tagging for special ed unless you are also certified as an SLP. Making sure you are using your unique branding on your covers. We do want to encourage that as much as possible. We love when we see really cool branding from your stores with your fonts and your colors that really show that you are a unique store. Of course, being a premier publisher means you have no strikes on your account and you also have quality resources. So these things you've seen before. These are things that I look for when I feature items. So these are all things that should not be new to you. All right, here are some really great examples of using your unique branding and not using those boom logos or that boom branding or word marks, as this says. So you use the subject area, the season, the content area. We are encouraging publishers to do that. So if you have a boom cards logo on your cover, you are welcome to not use that because we do want you to show that you are a unique store, you are a unique brand. So again, we want to encourage you to do that. Go ahead, John.
I was just gonna at least just ask if using them in TPT, you don't have to use our trademark, everyone. That's not, it's in rare instances would I actually use it. I just because it gets really busy on the covers. I would keep it off as much as possible. If you don't need it, don't use it. That's kind of the way I would do it.
Yes, I agree. So yes, I think that it was a question, does the trademark extend to other websites? So yes, we do want to encourage you to not use it as much as possible. If you decide that you are going to use it, we will go through some examples of if you decided you absolutely must.
And one of the reasons why, as Boom grew out of COVID and the company changed logos and changed, how they were marking things and the company name changed, there's been a ton of changes. Because your stores are independent, I would leave them as independent as possible. You're on the Boom platform, people know where you are, what they're getting. And if you're not on the Boom platform, if you're on TPT, it might get confusing to the customers. Like, is this TPT? Is it Boom? What am I looking at? So I wouldn't overuse our trademark. If you don't need it, don't use it. It's kind of my take.
Thanks, John. So here are some examples if you are using the logo. We are asking that it doesn't mix with the brand logo that you already have. So Grammar Galaxy is this store. Don't put Boom Grammar Galaxy. Don't mix it. You have your own, it's your own brand font. It's making it look like you own Boom. That's not what we want. Also consider this, we'll go over some of the logos in a minute, but the logo on the bottom is taking up a very large corner. We don't want that, so make sure that it is small, and we'll talk about sizing in just a moment here too. And then it is also placed on a background, and then there's an image that overlaps that logo, which is something that we don't want to see. So if you have a really busy background or it's overlaid on a iPad, I see a lot of that. Just make sure that it is on its own corner and it's clear all the way around the logo. That there is a spot for it. It doesn't have to be a color background. It can be a white background. It can be a blue background, but a solid color is what we are looking for. And then another note I just want to point out is if you are deciding to use a logo, you only should use one. You do not need to use two. So I see some logos on covers that have 2 or 3 different Boom logos, and that is not needed at all. But again, we want to encourage you to focus on your own store, your own brand, and stay away from our logos as much as possible. With that being said, since we did talk about us going through registering our trademark, we have updated our logos, which I will give you right now. So there is a article that we've just updated that has those new logos. And I will talk about those expectations for those, when those new logos need to be used. So don't panic right now. So we will ask that you do not distort those images. That's kind of like stretching it, making it kind of blurry. I will reach out to stores if I do see that. But those dimensions are listed there, and those examples that are really, really small, kind of in that corner. that is about that size that it should be. And it'll look different on every, square image versus this rectangle that you're seeing here. So those are the sizes that we are asking, that if you decide to use those logos, that those stay about those sizes, and not smaller than that. So, um, great. We're gonna keep going. So that article that I did just drop in the chat does have those updated logos. So you can download those and save those now. Just a quick reminder, you are not allowed to use any of these logos. These are reserved for Boom use only, including, which I will call myself out on, this Boom B that's in a circle logo. I was using it on my store. I had to update all my covers because I was not aware that I needed to do that. So that Boom B in a circle is not allowed. It is only allowed in that square. So we just want to make sure that you are doing that. And then same thing with any of these Premier Publisher ones. I know it's really cool to share that you are a Premier Publisher, and it's exciting when you get that email. The email is good to share out if you want to share a screenshot, but you are not allowed to take any of these logos and use them in your own brand. All right, so trademark information, just a quick overview. That first instance in that prominent instance, which is our covers, which is why we're talking about that, it must include that TM symbol. So if you are using it in everything, you are fine, as long as you are using that trademark, that TM symbol. But that part that you're putting it on a cover, we have to request that you put a TM next to that Boom Cards word, those words together. Any instance of Boom, that is what's trademarked. We are also asking that you don't stylize Boom Cards so that it's kind of looking like I'm describing it as word art. We don't want that. So stylizing it to kind of be bubble lettered and upbeat, I know could be part of your brand. But again, it crosses that line of, do you own Boom Cards then? And so that's not what we want. So again, we're encouraging as many of you to remove it as much as possible. All right. Things that you will be seeing coming soon as we are going through this trademarking process, which any of you that have gone through it know this could take months up to a year to get approved. So we will be adding, in addition to every store, just to help protect you guys, that Boom TM is the trademark of Boom Learning used with permission. So we are just going to add that to footers. So if you start to see that, you will know that you are protected in that way. So that's one step that we are taking to make sure that you are safe and protected there. All right. The next thing that I'm excited to share about is that any legacy deck, anything that was created prior to October 1st, is grandfathered in. I'm very excited to share that because I understand many of us have been on the platform for years and have thousands of decks, and it can be really, really hard to update all those decks. So we're just requesting that as of October 1st this year, we ask that you've updated those last decks that you've posted in the last 7 days or so. And then if you continue with that and not update your decks, again, that disclaimer is going to be already on your store. So you are totally fine there. You are good to go. And then any new or substantially revised decks must follow these guidelines as of October 1st. So we do want to make sure that you are following these expectations. And again, I will email this out for everybody to make sure that they have this information too. All right. Reminders here for accessibility updates. I know you guys just did a big overhaul for your 25 decks to meet 2 or more accessibility criteria. But we are asking that we stay in compliance with the ADA regulations. And again, I will drop that in the chat for anybody that is interested in reading more up on that. But we are being asked that as a company, as a platform that serves students with needs and adults with needs, that we are staying up for compliant with our materials and accessible for all that are using the platform. So all decks are either labeled opted in, opted out. It could be either by March 31st, 2026. And don't worry, I love a good checklist. So I have action steps for you at the end of all of this. All right, standards is the other thing that you may have missed. Make sure that if you are updating your decks, you are adding standards as well. I'm going to drop the standards tagging webinar in the chat if anybody wants to watch that replay. Pick the standard that you are most familiar with, whether it's Common Core or TEKS. You're going to find that topic for those standards, and then you're going to tag up to 5 standards per deck. So something I'm also noticing is that sometimes decks are labeled as a 2nd grade deck and a 10th grade standard is tagged for that deck. That's not something that we want. So make sure that you are being mindful of if your deck is a 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, you have 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade standards aligned to that. Our related services that are listening, you do not need to, you are not required to tag standards. However, these college and career readiness anchor standards are a really great place to start if you're looking to grab a couple decks and tag those standards, just so you can get familiar with the tool and then also reach an audience who is looking for those standards. So SLPs that I've worked with have said that these align really well with their decks. So if you are an SLP, check there. All right, publisher spotlight. So we are looking to highlight some more publishers. This is not the project I emailed you guys about. This is something different. So this is in collaboration with our social media person, Tori. She's fantastic. She's looking for more behind the scenes, more how-tos, decks in action. We can't highlight students, so please maintain confidentiality for that. But doing a day in the life as a publisher, doing a photo or a video of you doing a boom deck on a Promethean board. That would be fantastic. We do want to see more of that. So there is the link for that. If you are interested, save that. She's looking to highlight people constantly. So
Heather, can I just jump in
yeah,
real
of
quick?
course.
So everyone that's on this webinar, some of our best social media hits we've been getting have been publishers, us showing off the publishers, showing off the content that you guys are creating. By far, people absolutely love them. So if you want to get involved, if you want to work with Tori, she is really, really great at this. And it really gets your content out between Insta and TikTok and Facebook and Pinterest. We push it to all verticals within social media. I wouldn't pass on this marketing opportunity because it's a great chance to really spotlight your stuff.
Thanks, John. I'm going to answer a couple of these questions that have come in before I get too far. The question is, does Boom Learning also need a TM after Boom? Yes. Any instance of Boom cards, Boom Learning, Boom task cards, Boom digital activities, anytime you're saying Boom, yes, that does need to have the TM next to it. So thank you for asking that. And then I says, I've been using the Boxby without the TM. It's from the website. Yes, we've just updated that. And you'll also notice too, if you haven't, we've moved it to Help Center, not support. So if you're going to the support site, that is an old platform. We are now using this helpcenter.boomlearning.com. So that is now where you can get the updated trademarked logo. And then SLP question for SLPs, do we need to have Common Core or TEKS tagged? I hope I answered that one for you. Let me know if I didn't, but again, it's not required, but if you are familiar with it, you can use those college and career readiness standards. Okay. All right, and then one more question came in. I just want to make sure we get to it. Maggie says, I teach preschool and sometimes struggle to find standards that align with the tasks I'm creating. Sometimes I can find a K standard, but I tend to skip over them since I don't have many that apply. I totally understand. I have found a couple like following direction activities that I've done that have been really hard to find standards, and that's okay to skip through some of those. Hopefully, there will be a standard alignment coming up that can maybe get you some more standards that relate to preschool. But thank you for pointing that out. All right, we're gonna keep going. Oh, that opened to the page, so now you can see the page. All right, let's go back. All right, now the publisher testimonials that we are looking for. So again, I'm collaborating with Tori. We are looking for more people to feature in October for our upcoming introductory Premier Publisher webinar in November. We're excited to bring more Premier Publishers into the program. And so we are hoping to use some of your video testimonials explaining what you love of being about a Premier Publisher or what your favorite aspect is of Premier Publishers. And so using your voice and messaging, again, like John said, it does really well on social media. We want to be able to say, because you guys are making it such a great program, more people are going to want to join. So that I'm going to drop in the link in the chat right now. If you are interested in submitting a video testimonial, we are looking for your bright, shiny faces with a fun background, you know, whether it's your classroom or your office or whatever you're working on. We are looking for fun, engaging, upbeat videos to kind of share with our audiences. All right. Told you there was a to-do list, your action steps. Take your screenshots now. Please focus on your own branding. Remove those boom card mentions and logos for any future covers, just to continue to save yourself. We do want you to have your unique brand, have your unique store, so that when I look at your store and I look at your decks, I know they're exactly yours. So continue to focus on that. If you choose to include those logos, you make sure that you are following those correct size guidelines, that trademarking usage, and no overlapping or busy backgrounds. Updating all of your decks to either opt in or opt out of accessibility by March 31st, 2026. And again, I will remind you as it gets closer to that as well. But again, this is your advance notice. So if you have time to do that, start working on that now. Tagging standards on decks that apply to the standards. And then if you are interested to either have that publisher spotlight or that Premier Publisher video testimonial, you are welcome to submit those. And again, those links are in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, they are in below this video. All right, we got one more question before I move on. Andrea says, for the statements that we have to make regarding the trademark, do we make those statements in our description? Is this for Boom or TPT? So again, Boom will cover it. We are going to put something in the footer, so that will be fine. This is for outside of the platform. So if you have it on your own website, on Etsy, that's where you would need that. Okay. How do we opt our decks in or out? Katie asks. Go ahead and email me. I'll leave my email at the end. I'm happy to work with you to talk about how we can opt in or opt out your decks. It's a lot simpler than you think. So, all right. That is it for our quality checks at the beginning. Now let's go into some of our updates from 2025. Take it away, John. Give us some passport updates.
So, as you all know, we launched Passport last July for commercial use. It usually takes, with new products, anywhere from 18 to 24 months to get school districts to really start adopting them. We're actually ahead of the curve in my experience. We have large school district adoptions. You can see that on the left-hand side, Special School District, Miami-Dade, Gwinnett, Twin Rivers, Cy-Fair in Texas. We do have districts that are getting Boom Passport for either all their primary, all their secondary, or everyone on the SPED side within their districts, which is really exciting. District adoptions are slow. They just take time. They usually have to vet it, take it through a pilot project. You know, Miami and Special School District St. Louis did hundreds of classrooms, and it just took them a long time to get them in place. So they're just slow adoptions, but the exciting thing is that it's happening. I just pulled some data to share with you guys. Currently, we have 172 districts, 182 either individual or multi-school alignments or rollouts, I should say. about 3,700 teachers have access, and we're in 37 states right now. So in 15 months, we've really made some great gains in getting Passport out there. I will tell you anecdotally, the district I've worked with absolutely love the offering because they can give their teachers and their therapists really good content at a really great price. If you're not part of Passport and you want to become part of it, work with Heather. Um, I would be thrilled to get more people into the program. Heather, next slide. And then currently we have over 80,000 decks. I thought we would not have that many, and we're creeping up fast. We're probably close to 81,000 right now. The schools I've been working with are asking for more middle high school and transition materials, kind of like that middle high school focus is a big hole in the industry right now. A lot of content creators industry-wide build content for elementary school, elementary-based students. We don't have a really good, strong foothold anywhere in the marketplace for the middle school, high school. They're kind of the teachers are forced to figure it out, modify materials, kind of beg, borrow, and steal. If you're looking to build content and you have expertise at those grade levels, again, I've been begging people to build content. The other thing that teachers and administrators are looking for is differentiated materials. So they want materials that can be used across cognitive levels with multiple reading levels built in and comprehension materials to go along with those reading levels. So anything like that would be absolutely phenomenal. I have about a bazillion ideas I can throw at people if you're interested in building content for that level of student. Lisa, that number of teachers includes, yeah, that's including school SLPs.
That 3,634.
Yep, that's everyone. That's
Mm-hmm.
those are teachers and our therapists that have access right now.
Mm-hmm.
Elise asked if we need regular content. Yes, because the when I look at content creation, if you go back in time, the self-contained classrooms, the low incidence classrooms, they had nothing. So when I brought Unique Learning to the market and we built up that phase, other companies like Attainment and TeachTown and News2U or N2Y built content to fill that hole. The big hole I'm seeing right now, which has thousands of students, are the related service kids. So they actually need grade level material that's probably brought down a couple of reading levels to make more appropriate for them. And that's really the big push that schools are looking for is these resource teachers are struggling finding good content. So if you have any content that you have that's gen ed that you could differentiate backwards a little bit and say, hey, here's material for the gen ed kids. Here it is, a grade level or two down from a reading standpoint. It would be really well received in Passport.
Thanks, John.
And I think that's all I had for you guys.
Yes.
Oh, Terry, how do you apply to be, Terry wants to know how to apply to become a Passport
User.
user, publisher.
We are publishers here.
These
This
are all
is-
Passport?
This is only Premier Publishers.
Okay.
Yep. So how do you get Passport for your school?
Terry, is that the question? Is how to get Passport for your school? Have the school, give me the school, or we'll reach out to them.
Yes. Or attend the webinar next week.
Elise asked, how would you advertise those differing levels? In my tagging and in my cover, I would put differentiated instruction or multi levels of instruction provided. I would bundle them so people could see, hey, here's 3 levels of content. I would build the highest level first and then differentiate backwards to what I thought I was shooting for. Maybe going from a resource level student down to a second, third grade reading level and take it from there.
Yep. And I think Lisa asked a similar question. How would you tag that kind of content? Grade level, but 2 levels down?
And can you share an example of those decks? Yeah, Lindsay, I'll see if I can find something and send it out to you guys so you can envision what I'm looking for or
Yeah.
what I think the customers want.
Lindsay, I'm also happy to brainstorm with you as well. So if you want to find a time to chat, you totally can.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, John. All right. So way back in January was when the redemption review kind of came out, but then got reestablished with some better quality things. The ability to dispute or withdraw kind of some of those submissions that come in, reversing those redemptions came through, and then us kind of managing some of those repeat offenders who keep coming back with redemptions that were, kind of abusing the system a bit. So that came out in January, believe it or not. We are almost at a year of having that system in place. And then based on, since I started in March, the feedback survey went out in April. So these are the updates from here on out that you guys have all said was your priority that I had to get done, that Boom needed to put into the platform. So we're going to go review some of those things here.
Hey, Heather, can I jump in about the redemptions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, I know those redemptions can kind of be a pain if we're getting redemption challenges. Educators learn how to work the system. I think over the years, there has been a lot of sharing of redemptions and of decks and of other things that are going on. We still are getting people who are trying to use redemptions and doing some other things behind the scenes that are a little shady. So I love the fact that it's protecting your content. So we're getting away from people stealing from you and forcing them to go through a process. Our customer service team has been buried with some redemptions in the past couple of weeks with school coming back, with a lot of people abusing the system. So it's working, and we're retraining people on how they should be purchasing your decks, which is a good thing.
Yes, I know I've seen a decrease in the amount of redemption, so I hope you all are as well. All right, so featured submissions was something that I jumped on immediately. This is the Boom featured page. When you go to the storefront, it comes to that featured page. So some had mentioned that the rotating was not happening as often as they should be. People were getting featured multiple months in a row. And then I'm making sure too that premier publishers are getting the priority. You are going to see some non-premier publishers as well, and that's fine, but premier publishers are getting the priority. And then for a grace period of getting featured, I'm kind of leaving that 4 to 6 month gap. So if you were featured in October, you might not get featured again until at least January or February. So I'm waiting a couple months to get you kind of through that system, actually more February, March. So that other people have the opportunity for their store, their bundles, or their decks to be featured. And I am tracking that. And again, all those kind of things at the bottom thing are what I'm looking for when I'm looking through some featured submissions. So if you submit a deck and it only has 4 slides, I might pass on it to something else that's a bit more quality and more robust. So just keep that in mind. But yes, definitely going to continue to switch those out monthly. I've been reaching out to stores as well if you are getting featured as of September. So you will get an email that first day of the month if you are featured on the page. So you can go take a screenshot, go ahead and share on your stories and things like that, that you're excited to be featured. And I do love all of the replies. So if you get an email from me that you've been featured, just reply because I would love to hear how excited you are to be featured. So. All right, new seller dashboard as well. Oh, I see Lisa's question. That 4 to 6 month between featured again, does that also mean across categories? Yes. So if your store is featured in October, you can't have a bundle featured in November. So it's a store, a bundle, or a deck. So that featured is for that month. So that counts for that month. You're waiting 4 to 6 months before that next featured. All right, your new seller dashboard came out again. This is our version 1 of our seller dashboard, a little bit more visually appealing for you in kind of a spreadsheet format. You can download that CSV this month and then the previous month. That gives you more of a quick glance at your decks sold, your bundles sold, printables if you have them. And again, it is a quick glance. I know there are some flaws in it. You would love to see more of those as a total count. So that is also coming down the pipeline. We are looking for more of that. And so please, if you have updates that you would love to see with our seller dashboard, I am taking all those notes. And as we update that seller dashboard, we'll make sure if it can get added, it will get added. Okay. All right. We also had a studio visual change, again, to keep up with that ADA compliance. We want to make sure that our um, store and our studio is visually friendly for those that need some darker colors, some brighter yellows. So we even got some brighter whites on there that you may have noticed, some larger plus and minus signs. So those features kind of came into effect then. And then also we moved that text toolbar to the bottom. So that kind of is just a visual change that happened there. Um, Awesome. And then tagging standards. We're going to talk more about this in just a little bit, but we did add those Common Core standards K to 12 and those TEAC standards as well. So those are already on the platform ready to go. And John's going to talk about the crosswalk in just a couple moments. I have a couple more slides I would like to get through, just because I know we are getting towards our end of time, or at least the second half of our time here. All right, catch up payments that you will be seeing or have seen potentially already in your payouts, which hopefully are really exciting to get this little extra bonus. I thought of it as like a little Christmas bonus when I got it in July. It was kind of nice. So this is part of your terms of service, and that is on that link right there. I don't think I have that link right now, but I can make sure to get it. But that is the catch-up payments that are distributed based on usage. And then it will kind of go through the top usage for our premier publishers, excuse me. So you will be seeing some of that catch up. That's not for like this current month, but it's just catching up to that month. So, John, do you want to speak more to that at all?
Um, yeah, I think when we rolled the program out, we held back money because we were making sure we had the formula, the algorithm working right, and that we weren't underpaying or overpaying. So what you're seeing right now is that we had a pool of money that was sitting there, and the finance team is finally starting to parse it out to you guys. So you will continue to see catch ups probably through the end of this year, until we get that money distributed.
I'm going to add one little gloss on that, John. The catch up is actually a permanent part of the formula because the formula ensures that heavy months and light months don't amount in unreasonably high or low payouts, if that makes sense. So the way the catch up does is it does a 12-month look back for any one contract and then does a I like to use the word true up. My team doesn't like true up. It does a one-time kind of look across the full of the 12 months on who was used in that and reallocates everything that was set aside by the formula that said, oh, that's too high or too low, and then distributes that out. So it's a fairness feature built into our formula to make sure everyone has a fair shot at the pot for any particular school.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for clarifying. We really
Yep.
appreciate it. All right. Thank you. We are going to keep moving. I did drop that link in the chat for anybody that's looking for those terms of service to review and kind of see where that is at, but that is under compensation C. All right. This is a new one that maybe you haven't seen yet. The selectable list is now click and draggable. I'm very excited for it. This does not interfere or does not go along with the template card and the individual card. So the template card is still the same. You can't move anything that's above that line if you are not on the template card. So I know people are going to ask about that. We are still looking at it. But you can now click and drag to reorder on your selectable list, which is really kind of exciting. So if you're on your template card and you need to reorder, you can click and drag. And then if you are individual card elements, you can click and drag to move on each individual card. So it's a step in the right direction, but this came out just a couple weeks ago. So if you haven't noticed this yet, play around with it. It's now available. All right, you also may have noticed the library filters now have accessibility, grade levels, subjects, and standards if you have your own classroom library. So that's really exciting just to keep things super organized as a teacher, as a therapist. So you can folder your things a little bit more clearer or look for just visually accessible things, look for a certain standard. So this is just to help that confusion, hopefully not to be confusing, but that organization for sure. And then similarly, we also put this in our store. So now our store side of things, you can do a better search to truly find what you are looking for, which again, ultimately is going to get your deck seen faster and with the right people looking for those things who are looking for certain grade levels, certain concepts. So that is available as well. Other things that have come down the pipeline is I want to make sure that you are following our Boom store. We have our own store where I've been adding monthly downloads that can just help you stay on top of things, how to update descriptions, how to submit to be featured, things like that that could be helpful references for you. Those are also going cross-posted in our Facebook group. So whether you want to follow us as a Boom store, that link is going in the chat now, or if you want to join our Facebook group if you are not already in there, that link is also going in the chat. So again, communication is going to continue with email. You'll still get a monthly email from me, or at least mostly monthly, with any updates and changes that are coming to the platform or that have launched on the platform. But if you want to stay connected in our Facebook group or on our Boom store, there's some helpful handouts and tips and tricks that will be there as well. All right, future updates, things that are coming down the pipeline. John, tell us about crosswalking.
Oh, so standards are a necessary evil. School districts will not buy content, or they will shy away from content that can't be tied to their state or the Common Core standards. So we made available earlier this year the Common Core standards that people could start tagging to. And we know that we have to be able to crosswalk standards from state to state to state. So let's take the biggest example. Most states in the US have Common Core. Texas has the TEKS. The Common Core and the TEKS have nothing to do with one another. What we've built and what Heather and I worked on with our development team is a kind of a lexical cross match showing here's a Common Core standard, what TEKS standard is closest to that, or what TEKS standards is closest to that. So if you tag something in Common Core, you don't have to then go and tag it in TEKS. The system will just say, well, here's a standard in Common Core, here's a standard in TEKS. If I'm in Texas and I pull up TEKS, I just see those standards. Right now in the US, all the data showing that by 2027, 2028, about 26 states will have a completely abandoned or heavily modified Common Core. Florida already has, Virginia never adopted, Louisiana is already moving away, Minnesota never adopted, Indiana's moved away, Ohio's moved away. We're seeing more and more states do that. So we are going to be building more and more crosswalks. You only have to tag in the standard that you're most comfortable with. Right now, it's just Common Core and TEKS. That's all we have. We will be working on the Virginia standards of learning, the SOLs in Virginia, and then the best standards in Florida, because those two states have the highest potential for revenue generating and will really help us get into those states. We will continue that process in 26 and 27 and just keep ticking off the states. Obviously, we will update the standards annually as they come out and put them into our development system so they're up to date. I know tagging decks is yet another thing. If the decks aren't tagged, though, school districts will probably tell the teachers not to look at them, or you won't get the same usage as if they were tagged. And if they're discoverable in the system as a tag standard of, someone asked earlier, hey, what about preschool or kindergarten standards? The more that we can tag them to something, the more it'll just help the teachers find the content that they're looking for. So we're super excited by it. We're very early into it. We only have, I believe the TEKS the Common Core is out, TEKS Math and ELA is coming out. And then when Heather and I get time to breathe, we'll tackle the next couple of states and get those into the system as well.
Yep. Thanks, John.
Sure.
All right. Also coming up, we will be seeing now studio filters. You saw it in the library, in the store. I've seen these. These are kind of drafts of what it will look like in studio, where your folders are going to be on the side. Then there'll be the grade level, and then it's going to go break into that visually accessible. Obviously, it will have visual, audio, and motor. But these are going to be the different toggles that, yes, it's either marked as visually accessible. No, it is not marked visually accessible. It's unknown or maybe needs some tagging, or you have no filter on there at all. So it's kind of going to help a bit to keep you organized, to know which has been tagged and which has not been tagged. So I know that's been requested. So I've seen kind of a draft of what that version will look like. And so that's coming down the pipeline as well. So again, you can kind of see if you've tagged standards, have not tagged standards, have tagged accessibility, not tagged accessibility. So that is coming down. All right, other things that are on the radar, and there are no timelines for the templates in the site-wide sales right now, but the end of year report is something that obviously we want you to have for tax season. So we are working on a CSV download to kind of have an easier view to see those fees month over month and help with the taxes side of things. So that is coming down the pipeline. Also, publisher templates. We find that a lot of new publishers who come to our platform have a lot of hard time creating. So hopefully those templates can help with some new publishers. I know veteran publishers, you're like, I got this. I'd rather create from scratch. And that's totally fine. We love you for that because you make really intricate decks and we love that so much. But this can help really get our publisher community a bit more robust. And then again, site-wide sales are coming down the pipeline. We would give you a date and the percent off, and you opt in or out your whole store. It's the whole store. You decide if you want to be in or you want to be out. If you don't do anything, you're going to be opted out. So that is kind of the main idea of that. All right, we are getting to the end here. We are heading to ASHA, November 20th to the 22nd. John and I will be there with Paul. So if you are going to be there, we would love to have a night where we get to hang out with you, spend some time, get to know you. So please reach out to me if you will be at ASHA. We'd love to meet up and just, again, get to know you, get to know your brand. Also, if you would like, I'm going to set up some time slots that if you want to come and share your decks at our booth for a 1 hour session or even a half-hour session, you can feature all of your decks, share it with people who are coming by, kind of talk up your store a bit and why you love being a part of Boom. So again, email me if you want that opportunity, because we would love to have your content on our booth. All right, let's get to any other questions that may have not been answered. I think we are doing a good job keeping up with them. All right. Yes, I think that first question was related to some of Mary's answers. Mary, do you want to address that, kind of what you've been answering?
Yeah, I think I've answered them all, but I'll summarize. There have been a few requests for things related to sales-related data. Heather has actually been spearheading a lot of requests for how can we better service data. She's seen designs. So you're actually going to be more accurate at answering where we are on this. So I'll summarize some of the requests that were raised. One of the questions that popped up, Heather, was, can we get data for which of our decks are being used in Passport? The next question is, can we find out how many times a specific deck has been sold? I know we've been talking about building some of those dashboards. I'm not quite sure where we are on the roadmap for them. Elise specifically said, on TPT, I can see how many times it's been viewed, how many have been purchased, lets me know who's been working with the resource. So I'm actually going to bounce those questions back to you, because I know you're more up to date on where we are on what's in the dev request.
Yes, yes. So there is a dev request in to update our dashboard to give us some more specific details. I would say we are not at the point yet to get individual, like what is working well for this. Is it converting? Is it getting previews? Like we're not at that point yet. I think we are getting closer to that. We're going to give you a percentage or a group of these are your best bundles or these are your best decks that are selling really well. But yes, thank you so much for that. If you don't mind sending me an email with any of those other things that you are looking for specifically for on an individual like deck basis, I will put in the request and see what we can get done. But again, this might be a version 3 or a version 4 because version 2 is going to make sure you get that total amount because I know that's been asked a bunch. Can we get a total amount for how much is sold rather than having to add up my bundles and my decks and things like that? So definitely we are on the path. But if you have specific ideas, I will take them, I will note them, I will request them.
Excellent. There's a second question
Yes.
about MFA. So we don't currently have the method of logging in with Boom email and password have an MFA option. What our whole team here at Boom does is we log in exclusively with our business credential, which has mandatory MFA associated with it. So if you want to set up your account to be MFA locked, what you do is you go in and associate a Google or a Microsoft user interface, and then make sure that that is set up to require MFA. And then that protects your account. And then at that point, you can change your username and password to some insane gibberish that's really long, that's hard for someone to ever break, and store that in a vault as a backup if you ever lose your MFA version. But that's what we all do here is we actually use our business credential, and then we have to use MFA to log in. So I spend half my meeting on my authenticator logging in.
Yes. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. And then Junko asked, is a direct communication with buyers a possibility in the future? There is definitely something that I've requested, if they can be even notified when a new deck is published. And then, yeah, letting them know like a newsletter of here's the best decks for this month, kind of in a review. I think that is coming from a request that we are used to on TPT, where we can send a newsletter. I think it's every week to our buyers or people who are following our store. So yes, that is definitely something I am looking into. So thank you for requesting that again.
And we've made some what do we call it, back-end changes that will make some of this easier because we sell into school districts and we sell in these very long, messy agreements about what we can send to who. We're limited with anyone who's under a school contract. So we have to make sure that we have our data crisp and correct for you to be able to send those to people who are not on school contracts. We still won't be able to offer that for people on school contracts, but we might be able to offer some on-demand information to people under school contracts where they can actively say, I want to be kept informed.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Becky is asking, she has a request. I'm reading through it. On the redemption review tool, after challenging a redemption and then getting a satisfactory info for the redeemer, I would love to be able to reply one last time to the buyer, not only if the deck is being revoked. Oh, that's a great suggestion. I'm going to take a screenshot now just to make sure that we have that as a request. I think that's a great idea. I do want to encourage people to continue to use it positively. And I was noticing that as well when I was doing some of my redemptions last week, as I was like, it would be nice to know, be like, hey, thank you for putting in the correct information. I
100% agree with that. That shouldn't be too hard for
positive customer service. We love it. Great. All right. Any other questions? I'll give us another minute or so.
And
of course,
we absolutely really want to hear from all the ways we can do better at delighting you, keeping you engaged, keeping your customers engaged. How can we make sure we're meeting your needs as publishers?
Yes, and I am going to drop one more link. The survey people were having issues with. So that survey is just some questions. If we didn't get to any of your questions, you can submit questions there. There's also a priorities. What are your top 2 priorities that you would love to see in 2026? Again, I am taking all of this information in, making notes, making business specs, making, trying to make noise as much as I can inside here to get those things done. And then a couple questions there are feedback for me, just so I know how I am doing as your publisher manager and how I can improve. It is anonymous, so please share whatever you feel you need to share. That would really just kind of help me out as well, just so I can continue to approve. All right, I see a couple more questions here, and then we will wrap up. The related bundle section under decks in the store is accurate, but the related decks are not always related to the deck view. Yes, this is something we have noticed. We are well aware of it. We are looking at it, I promise. So yes, I had noticed it the other day. I literally brought it to our project manager, who brought it to our development team and said, those related decks are not really related. So we are definitely looking into that. And I'm, again, going to take another screenshot just to remind myself to follow up on that. So thank you, Lisa. All right. And then Lindsay says, Heather, the newly published decks show up when you in the store for ones you follow as a Passport user. Yes, that's really cool. I didn't know that. That's really exciting. So if you are a Passport user, a school, you will see those new decks pop up in the store first, which is really exciting. Very cool. All right. Gunda, thank you for everything. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here. We truly do appreciate it. Just making sure we're getting all these last minute questions here. Could we please get a distribute horizontally and distribute vertically option? Where are you looking at in the dashboard?
Well, no, this is in the studio.
Oh, in the studio. Okay.
I know what you're talking about. This is both easier and harder to solve than you might think. I nagged Dev about coming up with a solution. We have a great new front end senior engineer, Nate, who's really, really devoted to these problems. He's part of those lovely new visuals you saw that Heather demonstrated earlier. So we're probably going to ask Nate to do some hard thinking about how to solve this this problem. It has to do with some back issues of how we develop the studio, but
yes,
we're going to ask Nate to take a look at it for you.
Yes, and him and I have already been discussing it, so we're
Awesome.
definitely already on that track. Yes, we want to remove the name of the, remove the store name from the decks assigned to students. Yep, that is definitely a request that we already have. Thank you for it again. I truly do appreciate it. I know it seems like I'm saying thank you, but nagging us sometimes does help. It reminds me it's a priority. It's something you guys really, really want. So
Kind of like having kids.
It is. And Heather, I'm going to take this as a moment to tell everyone that, around this time of year, I do the strategic focus for the company for the next year. And our strategic focus for the company next year is to go back through your lovely, beautiful, long list of nags for those little things we need to do to take some of the rough edges off. So this is perfect timing. And please do fill out Heather's form and send her those emails.
Yes, thank you very much. Again, I'm going to go back to my email for those of you that might not have it. It's just heather@boomlearning.com. Email me any questions. You do not need to apologize for, emailing me on a weekend. I will get to you on Monday. But this is what I'm here for. Please nag me. Please ask questions. It's truly what I'm here for. And just, I want to support you guys. So thank you all for being here tonight. We're going to wrap it up. John, did you have something else?
No, for any of the speech paths, I hope to see you at ASHA in November. If any of the educators are going to CEC, I believe it's March. I'm going to lie right now. We'll see you in March. Otherwise, we'll be at TCASE in Texas and Austin in February. So if any of you are going to be at those shows, make sure you reach out to us and let us know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all. Have a wonderful evening or day, depending on where you are, or if you're watching this replay. Thank you. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.